heard you telling Marie earlier, before we got started, about the pony rev when you were 9 years old.
She was there when I said the first poem I ever wrote. Which, do you remember it? The manatee was in it, which was how Mom helped me go. I was like, what's a manatee? Under the sea, yep. And I'm Bob, I'm sure you've heard that one, so. I was going to say, I don't know if everybody wants to hear that poem.
I like it. I'll hear it again.
All right, I was 9. And we got it published in Read magazine, which is, I was published poet at 9.
So this is something you've been doing, like your whole life.
Yes, and I continue. She's like, yes, she is. I wrote Under the Sea at 9, and I tried to keep up with that idea and continue with writing rhyming poems, and I just didn't like them at all. I didn't know what I was doing, and still I just started to throw more emotion into things, and they don't rhyme, but I think they're still work. So, all right, Under the Sea. I like to be under the sea to watch the fish go swim. I like to squish a jellyfish and then let go of him. I like to grab a soft-shelled crab and take him for a walk. I like to hurdle over a turtle and teach dolphins to talk. I'd like to see a manatee and then go play by him. I'd like to do all of these things if only I could swim.
Right, so this is something that, so you started very young, but then you had mentioned something about computer.
As I was growing up, I was going through the GPA route of the brainiest things that you could do, and I was calc and trig, and I started focusing even in junior high on computer languages, and John would laugh when I'm like, oh yeah, I took basic and advanced basic and Fortran and COBOL and Pascal, and he's like, Pascal, shut up, because they're so old. I'm like, well, that's what was available, so I took it. And when I took my SATs, I got into, and when I got into U of I got in as a computer science engineer. I wasn't the creative one, but I found as soon as I got there, what I was doing in my spare time was, and as I was, ending high school, got the camera off of Mom, and I was photographing people like mad, and taking earth photos. But when I got away, I found myself wanting to escape the work that I was doing, escape things by writing and taking pictures, and I was like, I'm finding this miserable what I'm doing in school. I think I'll change majors. So I was like, journalism, that's writing, that sounds good. So I went into that, and I focused on graphic arts since I like to take pictures too. So that was my thing,
And then now what will you, now you're saying you're going to be taking over this open mic in the city next year.
Yes. Charlie asked me to do it right away. Charlie Newman, the originator of the host from the cafe was Cafe Aloha, and a man named David Rubin, and he was moving, and he asked Charlie Newman to take it over, and so Charlie has been running it for probably 6 years. And Charlie's like, I think I want to retire from this. Janet, you've been there since the beginning. You would be perfect for this. Would you like to do this? Would you like to get this off my hands? And I was like, I'd be honored to. Can I start in 2010 instead of next week? He's like, okay. So I'll be starting that next year. If anybody wants to drive into this city, it's on the north side.
Foster and Lincoln.
5115 North Lincoln Avenue. If you go to chaoticarts.org/the cafe, there's the address and everything for that for it. And that's then, it's a poetry performance, art, whatever, open mic. We will have a microphone. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to, but it'll be there. It's a Serbian restaurant. They have really good food. Like trying to think of it.
They just started cooking again.
Just started.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Oh, okay.
So everybody should actually get food so they'll actually keep it.
Yeah, really.
So it's really good bread. But anyway, so yeah, I'll be taking over that as well. The other thing that's probably worthy of mention is when I started my graphic arts career in Chicago in the 90s. In my spare time, I had started up a literary magazine and nonprofit publishing organization called Scars Publications. Now I'm going to move on to the computer. and grab some books as a sample. Punk. I'll grab these. Ones are from the magazines, in fact. Oeuvre, the poetry book that a few of you have seen, there are extra copies there. I started collecting my work into books. I actually took one of the books, it's a 3-volume book, but one of the covers of an issue of CC&D, it said Jane and John, but since I'm married to a John, I changed it to Janet and John. Janet, did you hear? John, you don't mean. Finally, literature for the snotty and elite. And it's not, it's just a joke, you know, it's just something to be silly, and so it's like my inclusions in a magazine. And that's why I've also got a collection of chapter 38. I don't know if Sandy would remember, chapter 18, I did a chapbook. First thing I had ever done, and it was something as soon as I got to college, I had done this, and I said, I want to have a book, but I'm going to have it be of my performance art shows. And chapter 38, since it was 38 when I did it, and it was chapter 18 when I did the poetry book, so I've done this thing that has things from shows as well as images, because a lot of the shows that I do as a play, I will bring a projector and a PowerPoint show and everything, and have images going at the same time, so I can hide in the background and nobody has to look at me. But at least I can show off artwork at the same time for it. So I've been doing that with Scars Publications since 1993.
Oh, multimedia stuff.
I'm crazy. It's crazy website. Scars.tv is the website for it. I also have janetkuypers.com. So if anybody wants to know anything about me, that's not torrid or anything, it's probably on the web. I don't know what else to say. And there are business cards for anybody for that information and free chapbooks. And thank you so very much. And does anybody have any other questions? Or are we just babbling?
Anything about the writing process? Anybody?
Do you wait until you're very strongly inspired, or do you sit down and daydream and pull something up?
I do not daydream and pull something up. This is something I do in my spare time, and when I think of something, oftentimes a lot of the little tweet-length short poems and things like that I did because I was traveling with John in California. And I was like, what about, I should do this. And I would keep a phrase. I'm like, I really like that phrase. And and I'd have a thing down of cool phrases or something. And I'm like, I should just do something with that. Or else I will just smile like, I'm going to do something. And I'll just come up. And I'm probably not like other people. I'll just be like, I'd rattle off 90% of a poem and get it done like right away. And then go, oh crap, I should fix that bad grammar here in one spot, or whatever, but it usually just is when I decide, it just rushes at me, and I do it.
And your brain works at about 200 miles a minute.
Pretty much, yeah.
I read from a sister.
Well, I called earlier and was like, I'm about to leave, and I'm like, if you had a recording of that message, I probably would have loved to have heard it, but it's just like, oh my god, I'm really nervous, I'm going nuts, I have to leave here, this is what I do every time I'm about to start a show, I get really, really nervous. Well, you're not there, so don't call me, so bye.
About a 5-minute discussion in 30 seconds.
I'm like, I normally have like a nervous panic attack, but usually John's around me, and I'm like, it just shuts off once I'm actually there. But I go through this nervous about it, and I was all alone, and I'm like, Sandy's not home yet. Right, bye. That was my closest I can get to calling or talking. There you go. It's part of my thing.
Right.
Nervous freak attack.
But watching you perform, you do so naturally, very well, active in front of the camera, your props. I'm like,
I've got a prop, I'm going to use this. Because it's written with that poem, it's like, friends were looking at me. I've got a poem in my hand. Oh, they're waiting for me to pitch. It's just amazing, though, that story, though, that hallucinations can come where you can be walking in a seizure and not know, but you're able to be walking and fine. I know nothing about it. I mean, it's just you hear about these things. And
yeah.
so I thought I needed a prop. So I have a baseball, I'll try that.
Right.
So.
Okay, anyone else?
That's it. Enjoyed you very much.
Okay.